Hi there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is made for fans by fans, where the content is absolutely free. And it's not just the podcast that's free, guys. We have the website, we have written content, we've got the forums. All that is free, all done by Rangers supporters. Lots of us are match-going fans, and we just do it for the love of the club. It is episode 79 of the podcast. We're live tonight. We're live on the YouTube, but you can download or stream the pod tomorrow on a variety of platforms, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and Spotify. If it's your first time listening to the pod, welcome. We would ask you to subscribe. We're over 2,000 subscribers now, so the numbers are increasing. And we'd ask you to share it on social media as well and leave comments and let people know that we're out there. Quite a busy show tonight. We've got lots to get through. It's been one of those weeks. There's been lots happening around Rangers. There's been a couple of games, obviously, and there's been a lot of stuff happening off the field that we'll try and go through as well. We were going to have two guests tonight. We were going to have the gaffer, Stuart, and Ross, but Ross he's failed a late fitness test. He's in some dodgy hotel in the city centre and can't get a Wi-Fi stream, so he has had to pull out. But we've still got the gaffer, Stuart. How are you, Stuart?
I'm very well, thanks, mate. I've not been blown away in this wind in the last few days.
Well, there was a storm last week as well. It's 2 weeks in a row. I've been sitting here and it's been blowing a gale outside.
No, the weather's absolutely hopeless, mate. It's really, really bad. But fingers crossed it improves along with our performances as this month goes on.
We're yet the game today because I would imagine, I was one of them, there was a lot of fans who couldn't make today because of the issues yesterday. I was attending the game yesterday, but because of the cancellation and because of rescheduling it for today, I had other things in for today and parent duties and all the rest of it, so couldn't make today. Were you there today?
Unfortunately, no. I was the same as you, mate. It was bad enough or difficult enough to get the wife to agree for me to go to most home games without turning around and saying, by the way, I'm going back through to Glasgow within 24 hours. So no, she wasn't having any of it. So I had stuff to do with the girls and stuff. So it was a case of watching it on Rangers TV today for me.
I was the same. I should give a big shout to Keith, who sits behind us. He took my boy through the day, so my boy managed to get through. But Keith was the same. He was there yesterday. I think he had a few. He made use of the spare time. Let's put it that way. I think he went to the pub and had a few pints. So he was saying that his missus wasn't happy when he informed her this morning that he was coming back through. So a big shout to Keith, who sits in the governing room with me. So Stuart, I think we'd go through the Livingston game today. A wee look at Killie. Obviously, a lot of stuff through the week with the Alfredo Morelos, the statement made by the club. That there was obviously there's also been an incident involving Jim Traynor. He was assaulted in Cumbernauld. And I also thought we'd have a wee look at the Braga game. There's lots to talk about there, including the introduction of VAR. It makes its debut in Scottish football this week. And I should give a wee shout out to the Colts today, Rangers Colts, who were up at Inverness. They narrowly lost out 2-1. And the boys played really, really well today. I managed to see the second half. A wee bit unlucky, just maybe a wee bit naive. Inverness Caley were down to 10 men, but we just lacked that wee bit of experience, I think. But they done well, so a big shout out to Graham Murray and all the boys for everything they've done there. So Stuart's into the Livingston game today. As I said, I wasn't there. I had my daughter to take care of today. Game was delayed for 24 hours, therefore I couldn't make it, and a few others couldn't make it. A lot of comment on social media about the reasons behind it. The pitch was flooded and all that kind of thing, and people saying, how can it happen at a pitch like at Ibrox? I personally feel that, if it rains enough, any pitch is going to get sodden. And my understanding is that Rangers is a pitch that struggles to drain because of its proximity to Clyde, and I'm sure I read somewhere before that it's below sea level and that causes issues. So in terms of one, the postponement itself, and two, the rearrangement, how did you feel about that?
Well, we just arrived at Ibrox yesterday afternoon and found out by yourself and one or two others had texted me to say that the game was off. So I was kind of surprised, I must admit. The rain was forecast, the storm was forecast, and it was really bad, to be fair. We got there about 12:30 just at the pitch inspection, and it was absolutely pouring down. By the time we walked for the car, we would park on Edmiston Drive on Helen Street and along to the Neptune where we go for our pre-match drinks. It was we were all soaking, and but I must admit I didn't realise the game was under threat at that point. It wasn't until we got into the Neptune that a few folks said, "Oh Christ, the game's off," and I thought, well, it was a bit of a surprise. And as I say, this storm was well forecast, so I think Rangers really should have had an earlier inspection. I mean, it was a bit of an inconvenience for me. I drive about 60 miles through the game. There's people come a lot further. Obviously, there's people come from Northern Ireland, and there's a few guys on our forum that come down for the Aberdeen area, and I mean, it really must piss them off when they arrived to find that the game's off. I mean, it's poor planning. I mean, we stayed in the Neptune for a couple of hours. So by the time we left, around about 3:30, actually I walked back to pick the car up, and the gates were open at the Broomloan end. So I went and had a wee nosy, and the pitch was completely waterlogged. So it was absolutely the right decision, as much as it was frustrating for us all. It's just and the sort of the quick turnaround in terms of having the rescheduled for the following day, I think is the right decision as well in terms of our schedule for the next couple of months, especially if we can get through against Braga. And I mean, it is the setting that will beat Hearts, so that game might well go to replay. So the games would build up. So it's definitely, I think we're all annoyed and pissed off, but it's I think the right thing was done.
I mean, I was out very early yesterday morning. My boy had a game in Balfron, and I felt then there was a real danger that the game wouldn't go ahead because the conditions in Balfron were absolutely horrific. And my boy's game actually kicked off. It only lasted 20 minutes, but I mean, even just driving through, I was like, "There's no way this game should be on." I was amazed the ref let it go on, but it lasted for 20 minutes, and the referee decided the game should be cancelled when one of the defenders tried to hoof the ball for a clearance, and it went about 30 yards up the field and then blew back and went out for a corner. And at that point, he was like, "Right, game's a bogey." So I felt then, when I was driving back from that game, I thought there's a real danger this game isn't going to go off, and that's the way it turned out. I mean, the cup final earlier on, in December against Celtic, there was a strong possibility that was going to be called off because we were getting some heavy rain at that point as well. I know it feels like poor planning, but I do think Rangers are sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. If they call it off early and then the pitch dries out, people will say the game could have went ahead. So I think they've just gave it to as long as possible, and I think it's just one of the aims. It's not nice, and a lot of supporters have lost money, supporters buses and all that kind of thing, and I think that impacted on the attendance today because a lot couldn't make it 2 days in a row. So it's just, I think it's just one of those. And I think some of the criticism aimed at Rangers yesterday was a wee bit unjust. In terms of, they were looking at where to reschedule this game, and there was lots of sort of, well, there's no available dates, especially if Rangers get past Braga, dates start to get clogged up, and it was starting to look a kind of similar situation to 2008 when we got to the UEFA Cup final, when it was just, every 2 games every 2 days we had a game. Does this throw a big question mark towards the winter break? Because I know I certainly feel, and David Rem was quite critical on the pod of it a couple of weeks ago, that you have this 2-3 week break in the middle of January, but then for about 4 or 5 weeks after it, you're shoehorning games into midweek, and it just seems to cause problems. Is this going to have an impact on going forward, maybe looking at that winter break and scrapping it? Plus, when you think that every time we come back from a winter break, we're honking, so I would be quite happy to get rid of it just based on that alone.
Aye, that's a fairly decent argument, to be fair. It's the winter break's a nonsense. It's the weather in the UK is unpredictable at the best of times. I mean, you can go for the end of October through to the end of April, and you can have snow, ice, frost, rain, wind, whatever you want, storms, any time in that period over sort of 5 months. So to say to have a defined 2-3 week break, it's just silly, because as I say, you can't predict the weather, so you can't say, well, we're going to have 2 weeks of snow then, so let's have the 2 weeks off. I mean, I can understand why they want to do it to give the players a bit of respite and let sort of teams sort out the transfer window and what have you. But for me, it's a complete waste of time. And if they're worried about the schedule of fixtures, I mean, just extend the season, bring it 1 or 2 weeks forward at the start of the season, extend it by a week or so at the end of the season, and that gives you a wee bit more time to play with it. It'd probably help out the teams that are in Europe, because we're playing qualifiers in June nowadays. So if teams are having to prepare for earlier league matches as well, then it would be it would probably help in that sense. But as I say, I find the winter break an absolute nonsense. Always have done. So for me, it's just another example of saying, no, let's abolish that. Let's get on with playing the games and take it for there.
In terms of the game itself, Stuart, Davis in for a rebo today. Halliday's continued at left back. Barisic is still out injured. As I said, I wasn't at the game, so I had to try and find some dodgy stream on my phone. I think it was Hez Goals. I managed to get a stream on, and I was just getting warning after warning on my phone that I was getting all these viruses and stuff like that, and it kept on cutting out. So it wasn't the best watching experience, but from what I did see, it looked like another one. It looked like a kind of summer game to what we've experienced from the winter break onwards. Difficult conditions, struggling to find form. In terms of your opinion, how did you feel about the overall performance?
It was fairly mediocre, wasn't it? Pretty typical of how we've been playing this year so far. I think the players worked hard enough. I think there was quality now and again. I think we're fairly inconsistent over the piece, but I think the manager after the game says we should have been 3 or 4-0 up in the second half, and I think he's right to say that. I think the biggest problem just now is Morelos isn't playing well and Kent isn't playing well. And Taff had a bit of another nightmare today as well. And there's your three of your best players that aren't playing well. So if that right away can explain why we're struggling, And in terms of how the game went, I thought the first half we were okay. Huffed and puffed a wee bit. We did create a couple of chances. I thought Kent should have scored. We did a nice counter attack. He stepped inside, beat his man lines up, and then tried to cover it in the postage stamp and put it 3 or 4 yards wide. And then Morelos was unlucky. The goalkeeper got fortunate when the ball broke to Morelos. It came off the goalie when it looked like it was going to end up in the net. And then Stephen Davis got put through as well, and probably should have scored. But again, credit to the goalkeeper, and the same again to their keeper when he made a good save for Halliday. So we could easily have been 2 or 3 goals up at half time. After half time, I thought we played a bit better again. I think our tempo was a wee bit better. I thought when Canberry came on, he offered more of a threat than what Ryan Kent was doing, and he seemed his touch when the ball was good. Him and Morelos actually seemed to link quite well a few times. And again, we really should have been more than the 1 goal we did have. But the biggest disappointment for me was in the last 10 minutes. Again, we seemed to lose our shape. We seem to there's anxiety off the pitch, and I mean, obviously it comes for the fans to a certain extent, but I mean, Livi could easily have had an equaliser in the last 10 minutes. I mean, they've hit the post. McGregor made a good save when the guy turned in the 6-yard box as well. So that has to be concerning for the manager ahead of the Braga game. I mean, Braga's a big step up in quality for Livingston. And Kilmarnock and the rest of the teams we've been playing recently. So if you leave any sort of gaps or any opportunities for them, they'll take it. So it's, as I say, I don't think we're seeing anything new in terms of, we know our form isn't great. I think there is signs we're getting there to a certain extent, but there just seems to be a real lack of confidence throughout the team just now. And I think it's just when your key players aren't playing well, it filters to the guys that look to these key players. I mean, and unfortunately, it's something that's we can only play our way out of. And as fans, we can only try our best to support the players and stay by them as they go through these tough periods of form. It happens to everybody. So, we've got the win. I think that's probably as good as we can say today.
A wee bit disappointed that Ross wasn't on tonight, because we all know that Ross loves Scotty Arfield. Not. I mean, you know how I feel about Scott Arfield, and he seems to want. I mean, I know you've just spoke there, and I think you're right that a lot of your key players. I've had a few discussions today on Twitter, and a lot of supporters moaning about the system, saying we need to change it. But I still firmly believe that a lot of where we are now is down to just key players just losing form. Too many of these big players are not playing, but one that's taking advantage of that is Arfield. He's come in, another goal today, and you kind of have to wonder if it wasn't for him popping up, this whole situation could be a lot worse, because I think that's about 3 goals in 4 or 5 games or something like that. And Morelos isn't chipping in. I was looking at some stats today. He's got something like 3 goals in the last 10 or 12 league games. He's really hit a dry patch. So it feels that we're quite lucky to have Arfield at the moment, because he's chipping in a lot of the goals at the moment.
Aye, for sure. I think we're all pretty critical of Arfield before Christmas. He didn't really have a good start to the season at all. But Arfield's undoubted quality. He didn't play in the Premiership for a number of years without being a good player, and he showed that in his first season for us. And he's definitely been shown up in recent games, and the goals he scored have all been good ones. Maybe a wee bit lucky today. I think their goalkeeper made a good job of trying to stop his shot, but Arfield works hard. You'll always get a shift out of him. I think in the first half of the season he was kind of struggling with his touch, his passing was off, he wasn't finding space as much, and obviously he's not the quickest nowadays either. So that's why I think moving him back into the sort of deeper three it works quite well. It means you can see the game ahead of him. He can still make breaks to support the attack when he can, and he did that today to good effect. And he scored one. He was unlucky not to grab another. Morelos obviously took the ball off his foot and scored, and that was a perfectly good goal. Once more disallowed today. I feel to be annoyed though, because he was coming on just to finish it, and it would have taken any dubiety out of it. But I think we're certainly mentioned a few players that aren't playing well at all, but Arfield's one that is, and that's a positive, because he is a key player, and if we can get the other guys back to playing to what we know they can do, then we'll soon have the team playing and obtaining results, the quality that we're kind of used to, or had been used to before Christmas.
The assist for Arfield's goal, Stuart, it came from Hadji. Now again, it was kind of difficult for me watching the game on my phone to try and judge just how much he was impacting on the game. But based on what I've seen from so far, he obviously comes from top drawer stock in terms of his dad and all the rest of it. And I've heard a lot of people say that he's worth this amount and that amount, and a lot's expected of him. They seem to think that this boy's got a bright future. How do you think he's done since he's arrived at Rangers? My own feeling is there's wee hints of what he's capable of, but he doesn't seem to just be dictating games yet, and having a big impact on them in terms of dictating the pace or the tempo and all that kind of thing. But there's wee flashes of what he's capable of. I noticed he was taking corner kicks today with his right foot and his left foot, and the pass that put it through Arfield was very decent.
I have been quite impressed with Hadji, I must admit. I remember his first 45 minutes of the week there at Ibrox. I was kind of unsure about him. He was getting knocked off the ball a bit too easy, and you're thinking, how's he going to handle the physical side? Clearly Romanian football, there's always going to be, he should be used to it to a certain extent anyway. So, but he's done really quite well. Actually, he's fitted into the team quite good. He can play further forward. He can play a bit wider. He can actually play a bit deeper, if necessary as well. He's, like you say, he's 2-footed. He's maybe flitted in and out of games so far, which isn't ideal, but I think as somebody that's just arrived, has went into a team that isn't playing well just now, I think he's still showing his quality. It shows that he's a very decent player, and I think he will only get better as the rest of the team get better, especially somebody like Tav, who obviously I don't think he's been playing well at all. I don't think he's had a great season, bits and pieces here or there. I think we did miss him recently, and we were all keen to get him back in the team, but he hasn't really got going yet. I'm sure he will again, hopefully again on Thursday night against Braga. But once and the same can be said for Morelos. So once all these understandings develop, then I think Hadji can only get better. And we've all got the football to watch exciting players and to watch guys beat players and do the nice stuff. And Hadji's one of these guys that you pay your money for,
Sorry, I was talking there with my mute on. So sorry, Stuart. Canberra was the other guy that came in January there. So he came on today. That's probably the longest run in a game he's had. I think he got a good sort of 25, 30 minutes. He's been coming on for the sort of last 5-10 minutes, and since he signed, got a good, decent chunk of the game today. Again, I thought there was wee signs that he could maybe. I thought he was really, really unlucky with his goal. If he was offside, it was by a toenail, and I thought there was maybe even an argument to say he was level. But how did you feel about his performance today? I thought, again, similar to Hadji, there was just wee signs that there could be something there.
Canberra's a player I've always liked, I must admit. I thought Hibs, he always impressed me when he played against us, for sure. I mean, Hibs, he's not the most popular player amongst Hibs fans nowadays for his comments after coming to us. And even before that, I think they weren't impressed with his work rate. And I mean, he'd been played wider and deeper than what he prefers. I think he definitely prefers to be played through the middle, up alongside another striker. But I think there was two schools of thought the other week there. You either went for, if we're looking for this third striker, it was Canberra or Lyndon Dykes. And I admit I'll probably take any, because I think sometimes we need to change things. It would be good to have had somebody like Dykes where you can actually throw the ball into the box and have somebody that's a bit more physical and can challenge for stuff. I'm not so sure Canberra can do that, but in terms of the way we play, we need players that are comfortable on the ball, can take it in and bring it and link with others. And I think Canberra does that, and he did it well today. And I actually, it was pretty noticeable. I've been fairly critical of Morelos, but I thought he improved later in the game when Canberra came on. I thought they worked quite well together. I mean, it was Morelos' pass for the goal that was disallowed for Canberra, and it was a fantastic pass. As you mentioned, if it was offside, it must have been really, really tight. I think Gerrard said in his post-match interview that he reckoned he was just offside. I've not really seen a good view of it as yet myself. But it was a good finish, and I think that's something Canberra's got as well. He scored a few goals against us, and they've always been good finishes. So there's definitely a player there. I think he's going to be used fairly often in the next few weeks, obviously without Defoe. I mean, you'd expect Defoe to be look for another month or something anyway. So Canberra's going to be playing, especially if Morelos continues to struggle in front of goal as well. So it's good. It's very good and very positive to see him play well today, and I hope the lad takes a lot of heart for it.
A final sort of comment on today's game, Stuart. The referee performance yet again. We're talking about referees. Steven Gerrard now. I've been quite critical of Gerrard, or not critical, but slightly disappointed that he's not, been more vocal in some of the decisions that have went against us. I thought the Morelos goal on Wednesday night against Kilmarnock, which we'll slightly touch on later in the show. I mean, I think that's a shocker, a real shocker. But the type of thing that, if that goes in and counts, it puts you in that bracket of a team that's had a bad performance but got the result. And, that's how teams win titles and all that. Instead, the referee gives it the other way, and then we go on to lose the game. So Gerrard was very vocal today, especially about the Morelos one, which when you do see that as a shocker, I would say he's about a half yard on. I thought the Canberra one was really tight. If there was VAR operating up here, it would be one of those ones that would be like his armpit or something like that was offside. And for a linesman, I mean, my feeling on this is anything that's marginal at the moment is going against us. We don't seem to be getting any marginal decisions going in our favour, and it's all key decisions. It's all goals that are getting chopped off, or goals that are standing, as in the Betfred Cup final. So it feels like a lot of that stuff's gone against us. And as I say, Gerrard, he said today he felt it was the right time to comment. I feel he could have commented on a game-to-game basis on the various incidents as they happened. But we'll go through them all. I mean, firstly, John Guthrie's tackle on Goldson. To me, it was the tackle it's getting compared to is the one that Sam Cosgrove put on at Celtic Park. I think it was against Ayr a few weeks ago. Now, I would say it's worse than that, because once Sam Cosgrove gets the ball, he takes the ball, he's off the ground, and that's the reason we were told why it was a red card, because he's off the ground and he's out of control. Guthrie doesn't get the ball today. Goldson gets the ball away, and then Guthrie comes in half a second later, in a similar fashion to Cosgrove. He's off the ground, he's out of control, but he doesn't win the ball. It just takes Goldson out. To me, that was a blatant red card. What were your thoughts on it?
It's hard to disagree. I mean, you see a lot of these challenges in games where defenders are ready to clear it, and it's quite often usually the strikers. Actually, I remember London Dykes did one against Goldson earlier in the season at Livingston. The striker comes across and tries to sort of block the clearance. I mean, that wasn't what happened today. Guthrie slid in extremely late. He'd been bullied off the ball by Goldson, who I thought had done a good game today, and he was high, he was late, it was right on the ankle, it was nowhere near the ball, it was out of control, and it was as clear a red card as you'll see all season. And I mean, I don't know how far away the referee was, but the linesman was, 2 or 3 yards away, so he should be given that as a red card, but clearly he bottled it. And I mean, Goldson's quite lucky that he wasn't injured more badly than what it seemed to be, because it was such a dangerous tackle, far too strong and out of control. And these are all the factors that the referee has to take into account when he's making red card decisions. And that was, as I say, it's an easier red card as you'll see all season.
I mean, how did you feel about Gerrard on this? I mean, as I said earlier on, I felt he could have commented previously. He said today that he felt it was the right time now to comment, which does suggest that he's been aware of decisions and he's not been happy with certain decisions. How do you feel about? Do you feel he could have commented previously, or was today the right day to do it?
I think it's always better to do it after a win than a defeat. I get his point about it looks kind of like hard cheese if you're doing it after you've just been beat. But at the same time, every manager does it. If you can't do it after every game, when they work like that, you do just look like you're complaining for the sake of it. However, when there's a run of matches where the key decisions, very important decisions, league title winning decisions are getting made against you, you have to make more of it. I mean, the Clancy game at Parkhead is your prime example. You had your beating game, was it last season or the season before, against Hibs at Ibrox. There's 2 or 3 games that really stand out above all others where you really think, what the hell's going on here? But this has been, in this year alone, 2020 alone, there's now been the last 3 or 4 games where it's decision after decision. I mean, you had the one where the Lewis Stevenson pulled Morelos back the other week there and didn't get booked. And then the same thing happened at Rugby Park the other night there with the wee guy in the wing, the command player, I forget his name. And even later in the game,
he was pulling at Tav. Was it Tav?
And it didn't book him there. And then later in the game, that guy, Rory McKenzie, he was kicking the ball away and nothing happening. The day I think it was a Mood, the Livingston striker, first 5 minutes, booted the ball away. The referee warned him. It's like, why are you warning him? If he's breaking the rules, book him. If it's Morelos doing these things, Morelos gets booked. If Ryan Jack, he gets booked or sent off. It's just, as I say, it's beyond a joke now. And as much as I can understand why Gerrard doesn't want to look as if he's complaining all the time, you've got to raise it and you've got to keep on it. Because if you didn't keep on it, then at the end of the day, you didn't benefit. And we'll see that Celtic are the ones that are benefiting for decisions, and their fans still act, and their manager still acts as if they're the ones that are wronged of it all the time. So you've got to be cute about it. But I think we do need to say a bit more, because this year especially, some of the decision making is beyond a joke. I mean, the one, the handball, I don't know if you're going to come on to it, for the corner later in the game, and the command play that came off his arm, and the referee apparently told Goldson that he never gave it because of the weather. I mean, what? I've never heard of that in my life.
Was that the one today against Livingston?
It's utterly bizarre. How can you not give a penalty because it's windy?
I mean, I saw a lot of comment on social media about that incident, and a lot of fans are saying, "Oh, wasn't that a couple of weeks ago, or was it last week when Goldson, had the handball incident at Hamilton?" Now, lots of people have pointed out that the rules state if someone's diving, to header a ball or something like that, or if they fell and the ball hits their hand, it's not a foul, or it's not a penalty or anything like that. That one today, the ball's in the air, the guy goes to header it, totally misses it, and it bounces off his arm, And if he lets the ball run through, it's going to run through to Goldson, and he might get a header on target, and might get a shot away at goal. So to me, they're two totally different incidents. I mean, I'd be shouting for a penalty for the Goldson one last week if it was Rangers, obviously. But the rule stipulating those sort of situations, that's not what happens. So that's just the way it is. But that today, and as you said, for the referee to come away with, it's the weather, it's the conditions, I can't give it because the conditions. I'm sorry, that's unforgivable for me, and that's maybe what's prompted Gerrard to speak out today. If referees can give a rational explanation, like I didn't see it, or I'm not sure, if I'm not 100% sure, I can't give it, and I thought this and I thought that. But if he's turning around and saying, well, it's windy today, so I can't give it, then I think Gerrard was right to speak out. But one thing I will say, there's other games he could have spoke out. I know what you're saying about if we get beat, it could look like sour grapes and all the rest of it, but I do feel he could have commented about the Morelos goal. I think he could have been more strong in that. And there's been other decisions as well recently that I think he could have opened. But he's done it now. He's put his case out. But I do notice that some of our friends in the media are now saying that that's a sign that he's starting to crack and he can't cope with the pressure and all the rest of it. But sorry, I think he was every right, and it was a legitimate complaint today. If he's getting told that his team is not getting a penalty because it's windy, because of the weather conditions, then I think he's got every right to speak up. Sure, I think we've covered the Livi game there. So, thought we would sort of slightly touch on the Killie game. Obviously, it's a few days ago now, but it felt like a monumental result, and not in a good way. In terms of the result, in terms of where it's put us in the league, is that the game that it feels like it for me? Is that the game that's ended the title chase for us this season?
Possibly. I mean, I don't think you ever want to concede titles in February. I think there's still a lot of football to be played. I mean, to their credit, Celtic's playing very well just now. I think it'd just be churlish to say otherwise. I mean, they're benefiting possibly for some refereeing decisions where we're getting the opposite, but they're grinding out wins. I mean, they did that today at Pedodri, obviously. But no, I don't think the league's gone yet. I mean, we've still got to play them twice. So we've already shown several times in the last couple of years now that we're more than capable of matching them and beating them home or away now. So these games are important. There's your 6 points there right away. You've got your 3 points for a game in hand. You do that, you're only a point behind. So you can't go conceding titles. Is it likely? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think if we were 10 points ahead, like what Celtic are, then we would be just as confident as they are. So it maybe is a long shot. But as I say, these guys are paid a lot of money, tens of thousands of pounds in the case of a few of them. And we really need to keep turning up and start showing a bit more gumption, a bit more belief, and really try and apply a bit of pressure to Celtic. I think that's probably been the saddest thing, is just when you get the chance to do that after beating them at Parkhead, then you just effectively capitulate in the new year, which is for the second time in less than a year or in a year. So it's really a real worry. But as I say, there's still a lot to play for, not just in terms of the league. You've got Scottish Cup, and you've got the Europa League coming up very quickly. So I think we just need to try and stay behind the players. And the majority of fans are doing that, and that's great. I mean, there's going to be another a great attendance again yesterday. It'll be a full house on Thursday, and you can only just hope that the players turn their form around. And if they do, then they'll give Celtic something to think about. I mean, just now the Celtic's playing well, but that can change. We've seen that before, and up to Sunday years. So there's the first. I don't think it's gone just yet. We'll just have to wait and see on that score.
I don't know about you, sure, but the frustrating thing for me was the manner of the defeat. And it's happened a couple of times now. It's happened a couple of times, over the last 2 or 3 weeks. You go to a ground that's, we went to Tynecastle. Hearts are bottom of the league, I know, but Tynecastle's always got a bit of atmosphere about it. It can be a hard place to play, an intimidating place to play. And we struggled and got the goal and then threw it away and 2-1 and lost the game late on, sort of, fairly cheaply. I thought, we gave away the first goal in that game. it was kind of similar to Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock have done this to us before. It seems to be the same teams time and time again that kind of undo us, and that's what I find frustrating. It seems to me that the minute we turn up at a ground where there's a bit of edge, there's a bit of atmosphere, initially we sort of do not bad, and very often we take the lead, and then for whatever reason, the minute we concede the equaliser, we just seem to go to pieces. And I agree with you that in terms of where we were as we approached the winter break, after that result at Celtic Park, we finally thought we were applying some pressure. If we win that game in hand, we were going to be 2 points in front of them. And you think the team would get confidence from that. You think they would go away and get a bit of belief behind them and think, you know what, we're in this title race. And as you say, for the second year, we've come back and it just seems that we can't handle the pressure. So that's what I found frustrating. It felt to me like a predictable defeat, which worries me, if you know what I mean.
Aye, it was quite a strange game. I mean, I don't think we played all that well for the first half. We certainly didn't create very many opportunities, and then you got a goal sort of out of nothing. But I mean, we were by far the better team in the first half, and Kilmarnock were never in it at all. They didn't really play very well, didn't get men forward, and that changed after half time. They really sort of came out and had a go at us, and we just seemed to be shocked by that, and we didn't seem able to react to it. Yet at the same time, they didn't really look like scoring. If I'm perfectly honest, and they seemed to blow themselves out a wee bit, and we came back into it, and I thought we started to dominate. I thought Morelos was really unlucky with his lob that hit the bar, and then clearly we had the goal disallowed. I mean, again, Kilmarnock could have had a man sent off. Dicker could have easily been sent off. These things change games, and just as we're looking like we're going to go and get a second goal, Kilmarnock go up the park and get as lucky a goal as you'll see all season. Again, from a handball that isn't seen by the referee or any of the officials, and it's 1-1. But I still thought we looked like the more likely team to get the winner. And as I said, the Miller's header was disallowed for next to nothing, really. I think, if we're honest, it was just a ridiculous decision. But to concede the second goal in that manner, I mean, it's just a long punt up the park. Katic didn't win the header, and Goldson was done by Brophy, and it was a great finish by him, to be fair. And after that, we had another couple of half sort of chances, but by that time the points are gone, and it is a worry. It is very, very, very much so a worry that we can't seem to go to places like Tynecastle, where we're going in a couple of weeks in the cup, or places like Rugby Park, and go there and win consistently. Because if you can't do that, you didn't win stuff. Simple as that. So it's this mentality or lack of quality that it's something the manager needs to address, and I think he needs to take his fair share of criticism as well. I mean, we just seem to be. I thought we've seen it again today, a bit too open at times. I know we're trying to go and win games, but today we were 1-0 up. At Rugby Park we were 1-0 up, and we're kind of pushing on to try and get a second goal, which is fine. Of course we want to do that, but at the same time you just got to keep it a wee bit tighter at the back, and teams seem to be able to go quite direct. A long ball, their big striker wins it, and we seem to have nobody in the vicinity for the second ball, and that's what happened today with Lyndon Dykes. That's what happened with Brophy in midweek, and that's something that's a concern for me, and it should be a concern for the manager.
Yeah, as I say, that's. I mean, I don't think I could disagree with much that you said there, Stuart. To be honest with you, I just felt that, even when we went 1-0 up, parties like, yeah, that's us 1-0 up, come on. But there was always that thing in the back of my mind that I thought, I've been here before, and it just feels like it's going to go that way again. Plus, I'd had an absolute shitter of a day, if I'm being honest with you. So it kind of felt like the day wasn't going to get any better. But it was just the predictability of the result that kind of upped with me. But in terms of the league, I think it's gone. I mean, I slightly disagree with you. I don't think Celtic are playing well at all at the moment. But what they are doing, as you said, is they're grinding out results. They're no matter how sort of mediocre they are, they just find a way, which I suppose is what teams that win titles do. They just find a way to get the points in the bag and go into the next game. We just look, to me, we just look like a team that's nervous, out of confidence, and I don't think we'll go the rest of the season without dropping further points. And I don't think I think the only team that could possibly beat Celtic is us. And I could see us beating them twice, but then dropping points elsewhere. So I think we've left ourselves a bridge too far, although I hope I'm wrong. Moving on to other stuff through the week, Stuart, there was a big announcement. I think it came on Thursday, and again, in typical Scottish football fashion, kicked off this whole stramash. It was announced that a 12-year-old boy had been charged with racist abuse of Alfredo Morelos at Celtic Park on the 29th of December when Rangers won there 2-1. Now, that prompted a statement from the club. Now, we've already had a wee bit of chat, me and yourself and other guys that are in the pod on the WhatsApp chat, and there was a bit of disagreement. My own view was that I think Rangers are kind of long overdue in making a statement about the treatment of Morelos, and he received more abuse again on Wednesday night. There's been more evidence of racial abuse against him at Rugby Park. However, I was really disappointed in the statement itself, and I felt it went into areas that could be described as point scoring, which I felt was unnecessary. I think the role of PR is to put fires out and is to try and protect, quote unquote, the brand. And that's what PR should be doing for the club. It should be protecting the club, maintaining its name, trying to take any sort of controversy in situations, taking the sting out of situations rather than injecting it. And I felt that's what that statement done in some of its comments. It took a dig at the BBC, which, is probably legitimate, but it didn't take a dig at the Sun, which has had a real go at Morelos. So that made it feel like it actually felt more like it was James Traynor having a go at people that he didn't like in the media. Whereas I think the statement kind of just went down the roads of saying, we know that our player is being racially abused, and there's now another charge, and there's been a few of those. We know that the media are sort of making light of this. We'll support him, blah, blah, blah. I think 2-3 paragraphs, because to me, the fact that boy's being charged says everything for you anyway. You just need to emphasise that. And I just felt it strayed into areas it didn't need to stray into. I know already that there's been a wee bit of disagreement with us and other guys in the pod, but how did you feel about the statement itself?
I wasn't overly impressed, if I'm honest. I thought it was long-winded and didn't really hit the mark. I think Rangers were well within their rights to reply to some of the media coverage. I didn't really have so much an issue with that, but I kind of think it's separate to what's happening to Morelos in terms of police charges and racism, to a certain extent. So I think they were kind of conflating the two different issues, and it just seemed a bit cheap, our statement. I can't say I'm a big fan of Jim Traynor. I don't think many Rangers fans are, to be honest, and I think it would be good and healthy to have a change in PR. We used to poke fun at Charles Green and the rest of those charlatans, shall we call them, when they were using Jar Curvin and guys like that. And when it always seems to me when these PR people become the story, then they're doing something wrong. They should be in the back. I mean, I don't know who's Celtic's PR. I don't know. No idea. I mean,
was it no Hollycomb? I mean, I don't know who the person is.
The Hollycomb are part of it, but they don't do everything, I don't think. But you don't know the names behind it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas everything, I mean, again, this is where guys like Michael Stewart and that they muddy the waters by bringing the names of these people into it, and he was wrong, and I can understand why Rangers took the opportunity to get a dig in back at him. I mean, but the thing is, we won that battle. I remember no winning the war with the BBC, but we won that battle. Stewart was suspended, still suspended, and made himself look like a right plonker in terms of what he said, not just about Traynor, but about asking for evidence of racism. When I mean, it's happening all the time now. It's really sad to see it. It's at several grounds. I mean, Pittodrie, Celtic Park. I mean, you've got stuff thrown at them at Fir Park. Now there's Rugby Park now. It's just like we're touching half the grounds in the country where they're having a go at this guy, and you see people making excuses. Oh, there's other black players and they didn't get it. It's the way he behaves. Usual victim blaming nonsense, and it comes from people like Michael Stewart, Chris Sutton, and these other guys in the newspapers that make light of it, and it's really disappointing. And But as I say, I don't think statements on a website or on our website is going to really change anything. I think you can only lobby the football authorities, the politicians, and stuff like that. And by having cheap shops, then it doesn't really help your case, and you'll not garner much support when it comes to the political arena. And I think that's what we're missing to a certain extent. There's everything that's happening at Rangers still is a bit of a circus, and it kind of worries me that it's going to piss Steven Gerrard off at some point. I mean, you have this stuff about Morelos and the private detective. You now got this stuff about Jim Traynor, and then you've got him. I mean, what happened to him last week because he's been assaulted? Apparently, the victim of a sectarian assault. I mean, that's disgraceful. As much as I'm not a fan of Traynor or his PR or his statements most of the time, the guy deserves to do his job and go about his business without getting assaulted just because somebody's heard a moron like Stuart on the radio having a go at him. So I think I'm going to have a go at this orange, whatever you want to call him. You know what I'm saying? So it's all a bit of a circus and a bit annoying, and there's a tough line to find. You didn't want to have this dignified silence that doesn't work, but neither do you want to be calling out every single little thing that just makes you look petty and stupid. Unfortunately, we seem to struggle to find that fine line, and I think a change of PR would definitely be the right idea. Unfortunately, do you do that in the middle of a firefight? Probably not. Again, so it's something maybe you look to do in the close season, and I think we're getting there on the park, and we need to try and sort stuff out off the park. I think we need to go about our business a bit better, and certainly in terms of PR, and it's something for us to look to improve in the medium term, let's say.
I mean, in terms of Traynor, I mean, I don't have anything personal against the guy, right? But part of me thinks that his previous career is part of the problem. You know, it seems to me that when he was in that career, he's maybe made a few enemies for whatever reasons, I don't know. And he seems to be bringing that baggage to the job. And it seems to me that when he's preparing statements and doing his job for Rangers, that he can't separate his own battles with some of these people rather than just speaking on behalf of the club. And to me, I mean, I don't work in a PR role, but I do work in an office and in an organisation that depends heavily on comms and PR. And, you know, anytime we issue anything, it's always as little as possible and you stick to the facts. You know what I mean? And I just feel sometimes the statements that come from Traynor are a wee bit too emotional. They're a wee bit too aiming towards scoring points when he doesn't need to. And I do think that part of the reason for that is his previous career, and he's bringing that to the role. No, I'm not saying that because of that. I mean, you know, the Morelos thing's getting downplayed. I think you're right. I think the club has every right to speak out on that and call some people out. But there's also sometimes, you know, Michael Stewart's the type of person that if you give him enough rope, he's going to hang himself. And he has. You know what I mean? So we didn't need to point score against Michael Stewart. He's talked himself out of role. And I just think sometimes a Traynor just gets too personally and emotionally involved when he's trying to bring out statements. And that results, in my opinion, I know there'll be Rangers fans out there who'll maybe disagree with me, but that results in creating more fires than you're putting out. And for me, the whole point of PR is public relations. You improve your relations with the outside world. I think the stuff that we're doing now is doing the reverse of that. I mean, I get we don't have a compliant media, and I know that, you know, a lot of people were saying to me through the week, it doesn't matter what we would say, they would still have a go. And that is true to a certain extent. But I mean, Graham Spears took to Twitter straight away after that statement came out. And the only criticism he had of it was who wrote it. You know, and he was criticising the syntax and the punctuation and all that kind of thing. If that statement just stuck to the facts, Graham Spears would have nowhere to go with it. Instead, he can take the spotlight off what the 12-year-old boy getting charged with racism, which apparently Spears doesn't want to talk about. You know, the nature of that statement takes the spotlight off what it should be on and puts it on something else. And if Rangers had issued, in my opinion, a statement that was short, sharp, concise, and to the point, and didn't go into other areas, the likes of Spears, the likes of Michael Stewart, and all these people who always have something to say when it comes to Rangers would have had nowhere to go with it. So I get that we don't have a compliant media, but I think good PR gives them nowhere to go. And I think at the moment we give them plenty of places to go with it. So I mean that's just my opinion. I know there'll be some Rangers fans who feel it's quite an emotional subject, and the club's taken a kicking over the last few years on a lot of fronts. And a lot of fans want to, stand up for the club, and I get that. I'm with you, Stuart. I think we need to be a bit clever at this. I think we need to be tutor. I think we need to think of the image of the club in terms of how it's projected to people outside the club, and I don't think we're doing that right now. As I said earlier on, I don't think that provokes someone to walk up to gym trainer and assault him, and even that's been downplayed. The amount of comments that I've seen on social media, the Celtic fans and people that don't like the club saying it didn't happen or it did happen, but it's because of things in his gym trainer's private life, and it's got nothing to do with his job. And I did notice that Stuart Cosgrove tried to downplay it a wee bit yesterday on Sportsound, sort of because he obviously had Craig White on yesterday, and he tried to downplay the whole people getting assaulted that are in Scottish football. It was John McCallum that mentioned that to me, and he was sort of saying it felt like Cosgrove was trying to deny that incident with trainer had taken place. So I get that we don't have a compliant media. We do have people out there that don't like the club, and they're going to be very vocal about not liking the club. I don't agree with the dignified silence, but you can be quite concise and to the point and just state your case without getting into areas that you don't need to get into. And I think that's where we're going wrong at the moment. But as I said, that's just my opinion. You still there, Stuart?
I am. Sorry, mate. I assumed you were just moving on to the next point. I think
I thought maybe you'd want to come back. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I think you summed it up fairly well. I mean, as I say, I think this before Christmas or before New Year, I think we've been getting our act together on the park and to a certain extent off the park in terms of getting Gerrard in the door and doing well with players, moving players on, and financially I think the club's doing fairly well, and we're organising share issues and things like that. I just think this, certainly in recent weeks, it's kind of, there's been this sort of back to the banter years type thing for me. It's all been a bit of a circus. I mean, if it isn't, I mean, what's happened to Morelos in terms of racism is unforgivable, and the same for Jim Traynor being assaulted. I mean, it's nonsensical that these things happen in modern day Scotland. However, it's all a bit, as I say, to me, it's all a bit of a worry that we're still bun fighting with BBC and Scotland, and we're still having issues with private investigators and all this rest of it. It's just, I really want to get to the stage where we're talking about Rangers winning stuff again, and no worrying about PR and worrying about retail stuff and suing people in courts, and we're still got all this crap going on in the background, and it just worries me. If you want to be seen as a credible force in football, it doesn't matter if you talk about Scottish football or European football, you can't have all this crap going on in the background all the time. You've got to be more professional. I mean, even we go down to the state of the pitch recently, it's just, there's still things for me that there's question marks and the general run of the club. I mean, Dave King's not had his troubles to seek personally when it comes to assaults and robberies and things like that back home in South Africa. But there seems to be there's stuff missing on a day-to-day basis at Ibrox. I don't know if it's Stuart Robertson isn't strong enough in his role, whether we're missing the chairman needs to be there more often, or whether we need some more non-executive directors in there that really carry a bit of gravitas and sway politically and in the media and stuff like that. We didn't have any of this stuff just now, and we're still kind of not on an even keel when it comes to stuff, and we're sort of fighting with one hand behind our back is maybe a good analogy, and whereas Celtic have got both our fists and capable of fighting, and it's, as I say, this PR stuff for me, it just isn't working, and the quicker we can make a change the better. I don't think we'll be doing it anytime soon, but it's definitely something the club need to look at, and fingers crossed it happens soon.
On to Thursday night, Stuart. It's Europa League night, big European night under the lights at Ibrox. Always look forward to those. Now, I think when the draw was made, we were all fairly sort of happy with Braga. I wanted a sort of bigger name. I must admit, it was something for an Ajax or a Man United or an Arsenal or something like that. But we've got Braga now. It seems to me like we're getting them at the wrong moment. We're sort of struggling. They're flying. They're sitting third in the Primera Liga. Won 5 of the last 6 and drew the other. I would say it's a big challenge. That said, though, they're sitting 16 points behind Porto, who are in second place. And Porto obviously couldn't beat us over the 2 legs. We got, I think it was a 2-2 draw over the road there, or was it 1 each over in Porto? We've got the draw over in Porto, and we won at Ibrox. So in one hand, you think, oh, maybe getting this team at the wrong time here. Don't fancy our chances. And then another sort of side of it, you're thinking, well, if we replicate the form we produced against Porto, we have a real good chance against this team. So what fence are you sitting on, essentially, is what I'm asking
you. In some ways, I think, some of our best games this season have been the European games, because I think that the tactics kind of suit us a bit more. We're actually, I'd say, we're more suited to play on the counter, or certainly playing up against teams that are prepared to come at us, and we can have a two and fro with them, and that's why we do pretty well in Europe. When teams think they're our equal or better than us, they're on the park in the bus, they're coming and having a go, so we're able to counter quite well, and I mean, your players like Morelos were clearly in great form. Ryan Jack, Goldson have all done pretty well this season. Barisic as well. Then you fancy your chances of scoring goals and winning games against anybody in Europe. And when the draw was made, the tail end of last season when we got Braga, I was pretty pleased, just because we've done so well against Porto. You automatically think, well, Porto, as you say, they're 16 points in front of Braga, so we must have a good chance, and I think we do. Braga have been playing well, though. I mean, I think they beat Benfica at the weekend, who are top of the league. So, they just sold the striker Trincao to Barcelona for 30 million euros, something like that, 35 million euros.
Yeah, but I don't think he doesn't go to the summer though, does
that's
it?
That's right. So yeah, he's still there. So it shows you the quality they've got. I mean, maybe you could be selling Morelos for that kind of money pretty soon as well, of course. But so just because you've got one player worth that doesn't mean to say the rest of the team is of fantastic quality. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it can go either way. I'm hopeful that the break for the domestic football will help the players. I think in terms of European games, we've done pretty well, because there's that lack of pressure on us. Nothing was really expected to us. First of all, you're not entirely expected to make the group stage, and then when you do, you're not entirely expected to qualify from it. So we've exceeded expectations there. So again, are we expected to beat Braga over 2 legs? I don't know. I think if you'd asked me that after the Celtic game, I'd have said, yep, no problem, let's bring it on. Recently, our form's not been so good, so there's maybe that bit of doubt. But as I say, I think these 2 games will probably suit us a bit more than a lot of the games we've played in domestic football recently. So I think I'm not entirely sure how Braga are going to play on Thursday. I'd imagine they'll keep it fairly compact, maybe play with a medium block and try to hit us in the counter. But so there'll still be that element of us maybe dominating possession and looking to break them down. But I think the game will definitely be a bit more open than most of our games at Ibrox recently. So I'm kind of hoping that we can take advantage of that and get a positive result. I mean, even a draw wouldn't be the worst result in the world. A 0-0 draw wouldn't be that bad. Generally speaking, I think we still defend pretty well. We've maybe, as I say, lately not been quite as good. I think Golson's been playing well. If you take aside the second command to goal the other night there, I think Golson's been one of our best players, certainly in 2020. Katic hasn't been that great. Again today, was kind of panicking a wee bit at times, certainly towards the end of the game, slicing stuff and giving the ball away. Edmondson has looked decent, but probably still a bit too raw. And I think probably we're missing Hollander more than anything else. But clearly he won't make any of these 2 games. So it's not an easy game to predict. I think if we could get a 1-0 win, that would be fantastic, and certainly give us a great chance going over there. And it might even suit us better playing over there than than here. And well, a bit of luck, at least there might be a decent temperature in Portugal, and 60 mile an hour winds and 10 inches of rain or whatever we've had in the last fortnight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite hopeful that this game, because it's, as you say, exceeded expectations. I always view the European games as a bit of a free hit, you know what I mean? And I think it'll be a good break, a competitive game, but away from the pressures that have sort of came for the title race recently. So I'm kind of hoping that it could, sort of give that reboot to some of the players and they find a bit of form again and a bit of belief, and then carry that on into the domestic stuff. One final point before we go, Stuart. The dreaded VAR will make its debut on Thursday night. First time it's been used in Scotland. Now, I think most people know that I am not a big fan of VAR. I don't think it brings anything at all. I mean, I've read stats that referees were getting 96%. This is down in England when they've introduced it. They were getting 96% of decisions correct anyway. And I just think VAR has done nothing down there but muddy the waters and just make things worse. I appreciate it's getting used a wee bit better in the continent. However, I must say I'm still not a huge fan of it. What's your thoughts? Are you looking forward to seeing it? And one thing that really annoys me about it is the fans in the ground are the ones that are least considered in this. It seems to me that VAR is almost exclusively for supporters that are watching at home. So I'm a no, but how do you feel about VAR?
I'm probably going to sit on the fence, I'm afraid. I think that there's obviously it's good and it's bad. I think some of the stuff in England, the offside stuff is just nonsensical at times for them to decide that a player's half an inch or half a centimetre or whatever it is offside is just like beyond a joke. There needs to be a sort of margin of error involved in it. Like you say, continentally it seems to be a bit better in how they use it in some of the other European leagues, and I'm kind of hoping that's going to be the case on Thursday. I don't think it'll come in Scotland. I just don't think there's the infrastructure there. I mean, we're going to be lucky on Thursday. We've got 2 big screens where the decisions can be showed if there is VAR is needed. And the way things have been going for us lately, it probably won't be in our favour, I wouldn't have thought. But these things, I mean, I don't know, do they still have the officials behind the goals? Has that been stopped? Because I've never ever seen the point of that. They never ever seem to do anything.
I don't think they're there. If they are there, I've certainly, they've not done anything that I've noticed them. And they offered nothing anyway. They never made a decision in their life. And
no, that's it. So they were a waste of time. I don't know. I think VAR's probably here to stay in the bigger leagues. I'm not convinced it'll ever happen in Scotland. We're always behind the curve on most things like that. And in some ways, I'm quite happy about that, because I think it's something that'll probably have to be, improved and worked on and massaged over the next maybe season or 2 before it gets to a stage where it's a bit more workable and a bit more reliable and a bit less controversial. And I think if you can get it to a stage like that, then you can think and have a serious discussion about bringing it in. Because, I mean, we've just spent 15, 20 minutes moaning about the referees, so something has to change. Like you, I'm not convinced VAR's the answer, but certainly not in its current guise. But I think going forward, it has to be video. Has to be something. Video refereeing has to be something that we really need to look at closely, because the quality of the referees in Scotland are, I mean, it's just appalling, and something has to change in that sense. So I'm going to be watching with interest on Thursday, that's for sure. It'll be really interesting to see how it works, not just in terms of if you're watching on TV, but at the ground as well be.
Well, my biggest fear is that after all the sort of controversy from the cup final, when every Rangers fan under the sun was demanding VAR, I've got this feeling that we're going to go out and away goals, and in the last second of the second leg, we score a goal that's like, someone's armpits offside, and the linesman never seen it and the ref never seen it, but VAR picks up on it, and then we go out because I just feel that would feel like a typically Rangers thing to do, you know what I mean? So I've just got this horrible feeling that it's going to bite us in the bum. But time will tell. But I think that's us, Stuart. I think we've covered most things for tonight. Before I go, if you are listening live, get yourselves onto Twitter, get yourselves onto Michael Stewart's Twitter. He's just posted an image of himself, a video of himself working out in the gym, punching a punch bag, and it is comedy gold. That's what he's doing with Sunday nights now that he's not in sports scene. So get yourself onto that and get retweeting it. And that's it. That's us for tonight on the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast made by fans for fans, where the content is free. A big thanks to Stuart for his comments tonight. Top class as always. Big week coming up for Rangers. Obviously got the European game on Thursday night against Braga. Away to St Johnstone next Sunday. So there'll be a show out next Sunday covering those two games. In the meantime, get yourself onto Gersnet website and the forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Easy for me to say. Lots of stuff on there, as I said, match previews, opinion pieces, and the forums as well. Lots of bears talking about Rangers, so it's all good stuff. So until next Sunday, bye for now.